Welcome, everybody. It's the podcast with Tunde and Lex,
You changing the name.
formerly known as NWAP. Now, let me chill before everybody starts thinking Garfield left the show and that it's really just us. We're going to lose all the listeners.
Except for the people who came to see you.
Oh my gosh, please don't come to see me today because all I got is my brows done. My hair is fresh, but I'm actually going out of town in a few hours, so I got a flight to catch, and it's like an overnight flight too. So I look real bare right now because I'm not trying to travel and be that person.
Overseas?
Overseas.
You
That's
going to
so
Abu Dhabi?
funny, bro. I paid my rent like 2 days late. Please, like, this is not the time to even think about things that cost money for me. But I'm going to my best friend's getting married. Shout out Damo in North Carolina. I just got the ticket 2 days ago. And so I'll be in North Carolina this weekend. Then I got to go to Chicago for a week. We're doing a boot camp again with my startup. And then back in North Carolina to be at my parents' crib for Thanksgiving.
Oh, you just...
And then maybe Atlanta because a client hit me and was like, I need to come down there and get some content. So I don't even know when I'm coming back home, honestly.
You're jet setting. I like it. That ties
Always on
into
tour.
the last episode about overachieving.
Man, you know what? Yeah, I just spent all my little money on some tickets, so we'll see what happens.
Don't you hate that shit? Like you pay rent, like, and then you're like, I'm not even gonna be here for like the next 2 weeks. I'll be able to ask my landlord, can I get my shit prorated? Like I'm living here right now.
I mean, only if they were gonna let somebody else stay in your spot, though. Like yeah. I'm literally not. I might not be back till December, so I don't even know. But I'll figure it out. So the next few podcasts, if we record, because I know it's kind of about to be busy, but I'll be wherever. So we'll see. What's going on with you though? Top 7, who I didn't introduce. I'm sorry.
Nah, it's good.
They know who you are by now.
Yeah, I'm preparing for the end of the quarter, teaching. So students are getting on my nerves.
You already made tests and stuff?
Yeah. They come up with every excuse in the book about why they can't take tests. Someone's dog died. Some lady said she's having problems with her pregnancy, and she's like 2 months. I'm like, I don't know. Like you're here every test period, but you just missed the test day. I don't know about that.
Oh,
I don't want to be insensitive and ask for a doctor's note, but I kind of have to. But
yeah, right. Like it's like you want to be sensitive but not insensitive. Oh, so speaking of you being a teacher, and this was not in our agenda today, but the teacher who fought that kid.
Oh yeah.
You know, so as a teacher, like, how do you feel about that?
I'm all for it. Like
it's so weird though, because I get it,
but
and that's why I couldn't be a teacher. But you can't be doing that.
Did you see? You didn't see the video. Doesn't show him throwing a basketball at the teacher, and then
it's kind of like one of those things like hitting women though. Top 7, like it's kind of like that where you just can't.
No, it's easy to say that. Like looking on the outside.
No, I'm not saying it's not. You shouldn't want to. I'm not saying you shouldn't want to. Like obviously, I would have wanted to beat the brakes off the kid, but like
I watched another video in Baltimore where a student, a female student, punched a teacher who just got back from camp. She just like got back off, I guess long leave because she was fighting cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And the student, she punched the teacher in the face.
Wow, that's crazy.
So
with the situation, do you think the teacher should not have been fired?
Oh, he got arrested and he got fired. Yeah, I mean he should have got both. But
okay, so we're not disagreeing that he shouldn't have done that. But we're just saying like you get it.
I get why he was fired and arrested. You can't put your hands on a student, but you can see.
I mean you get why he's actually fought him.
Yeah, I can see in the video. You can see him weighing the options. He's like, I get paid this much amount. I gotta deal with this.
I know that's gotta be crazy. That's hard.
This kid called me a nigga, and he ain't even black. He called me.
And these kids really do be doing the most too. That's the wild thing. Like they really provoke you to the edge. And
like, all right, so there's this teacher that I know, right? That taught middle school last year. His name was Tunde, right? And Tunde taught science at this school that was like a alternative school. Mm-hmm. And there happened to be this middle school student who weighed more than Tunde because he was like 250, 260. and he thought because he weighed more than Tunde that he could physically intimidate him. But what we didn't know was there's such a thing called grown man strength, right? So he put his head. He tried to show off for his friends like after school, and he smacked Tunde in the back of the head, and then like try to fight him.
That's
So
wild.
so Tunde proceeded to slam him to the ground and put him in a chokehold, until he apologized.
And then Tunde just went about his business.
Yeah. So as he was telling me the story, I was like, I can understand how, that could happen.
What's the legal? So legally, let's say the same thing. Kid hits you first. Like, is there anything that says, hey, you could defend yourself? Like, at what point does that kick in?
You're supposed to. Well, the way we were told at my school, we're supposed to try to subdue the student, and that was it. Like, but I've seen students put their hands on teachers and still not get expelled. So, especially if you teach like an alternative school, and especially if like a student has like a IEP, which is like a
like a special.
Yeah, you're legally mandated to follow what's in the IEP, and if the student has like behavior issues, then you really can't suspend or expel them for those behavior issues. So your hands are kind of tied. So
yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, but
that's wild.
That's what happened.
But so you're busy with grading and doing tests and everything like that. And what?
Grading. My marathons are like 3 weeks.
Oh yeah. Yep. Shoot. Well, that's regular though. We already know you're always running all the time.
Yeah. As soon as I get off the podcast, I gotta run 20. I'm not even looking forward to it.
Well, speaking of running, working on my transition. Shout out Smooth Order for teaching me. Speaking of running, so we had voting on the 6th, just passed, and by the time this comes out, I'm not sure what will be recounted or what, but we're recording on what day is this? A Thursday?
Yeah.
Thursday the 8th.
Yeah.
So just talking about what happened this Tuesday. So I see Gillum actually. What's the word? Starts with the C. He conceded.
Yeah.
So he conceded at one point, which I think a lot of people were upset. I wonder why he did that, instead of just trying to like hold to the very end, even though you never know what was going to happen. But he did concede. But then the numbers are still so close as they are counting them. What is it that they said he might do? They might
ask for a recount.
Yeah, they might like recheck, ask for a recount, and they said he technically, even though he said he conceded, that's not like legally binding. So,
yeah.
But that's just wild. Like that is even that close, honestly. Same. Go ahead.
I'm looking at like these exit poll numbers, and it's
so close.
Yeah, it is. But I'm looking at like the breakdown, by race and gender.
Yeah, there was a lot of conversation around that because Gillum, as most of our listeners probably know, he's a black man. He's running against DeSantis. Well, I don't know what he is. I guess he's white.
Like he's Hispanic. He's Hispanic, but he's passing. He could pass for white.
He claims white, right? Yeah. So what's interesting is I saw this chart floating around that said 18% of black women voted for DeSantis. And obviously there's all the conversation saying, well, why are we looking at what black people did versus all the white people who voted for, your boy, right? That's usually combo. But at the same time, it's like, but bro, wait a minute. How and why did 18% of black women did not vote for this black man? Like, what do you think about that? Or even about that conversation?
I'm torn. Just because like when it was the general election in 2016, it was it's the whole thing from that. The exit polls, 56% of white women voted for Trump, right? And then I forget the exact numbers, but it was like 90% of black women voted for Hillary Clinton, and I think it was like 80-something%, like high 80s black men. But I did see a lot of talk around, well, why can't black men? What's wrong with black men? That black men voted for Trump at these high numbers, even though it was high 80s, they voted for Hillary Clinton. So I think there's room for the same conversation to be had here. But then again, I'm looking at the numbers of like total percentage of the vote. In Florida, Black people total accounted for less than 15% of the vote. So even if 100% of Black people voted for Gillum, we still need white people to vote, like have common sense and vote for, you know, what's right. So
I mean, it's also Florida, so
yeah. So
really know what's going on there.
69% of white men voted for DeSantis, and 51% of white women voted for DeSantis. So I think the blame definitely, you know, should go there.
On them. Yeah. So then what about in Georgia, where Stacey, unlike Gillum, Stacey Abrams, she did not concede, and I think they're still pulling in and counting from that, but that was also a very close one. I saw something, the last thing I saw, I believe, said that this weekend they may redo something. I don't remember if it's recount or what exactly. But I also saw a lot of information around Atlanta polling places having like a couple machines, a lot broken, making it really hard, like long hours of waiting. And so, like, what do you feel about what happened in Atlanta with Abrams?
I think like state laws from state to state, laws is just so fucked up. Like we talked about it, I think 2 episodes ago.
And why is it all in these same exact areas? Like,
yeah, like how can you? So Brian Kemp was he Secretary of State? Like how can you be in charge of like the whole voting process and the election,
right?
And running for governor? Like,
yeah, that makes zero sense.
Like state laws, just that in itself should show you that something fishy went on, and we knew going in because we talked about it on the show.
Because you would think he'd want to distance himself anyway, just so that wouldn't be a question that comes up. You know,
it's Georgia, so he doesn't care at all.
Right.
Uh-oh, we have a guest appearance.
Oh no! After we talked all that bullshit. Oh, welcome, Smooth Order. Wow, you should come like this every time.
Hi.
Are you overachieving?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
What are y'all talking about right now?
Well, right now we're talking about these election updates. Georgia, your state, Florida, and about to move in on this Texas. So what do you think so far about Florida and Georgia? That's what we've already talked about.
Oh, okay. Well, I just wanted to come in and say hi to everybody.
Or are you just saying hello? My bad. I just tried to throw you in there.
No. I did want to come in and say hi. You know, I didn't know if y'all already started the podcast or whatever, so I didn't want to fuck everything up. But as far as the Florida thing is concerned or whatever, I feel like Gillum conceded too early. I don't know if you guys already touched on that. Yeah. He conceded, and like they hadn't actually called the race. Like I was in the newsroom at the time. And we got the announcement that he had conceded, but we didn't get the announcement that he'd actually lost. So I thought it was weird. And now they're doing this runoff thing where it's like they think it's like 0.7%. It's like I think DeSantis has like 0.7% advantage. It's like 49.7, and Gillum has like 49%. And in Florida, if it's like 0.6%, I think it's like an automatic recount of the votes or whatever. And then they're talking about like they think there's like 10,000 like mail ballot votes or whatever they can't find or some shit like that or whatever.
Wow.
Right. So y'all know me. I'm not one for hope. Cynicism is how I ply my trade when it comes to American politics. But you know, I'm definitely keeping an eye on it. And I was actually.
So do you think that he was weak? That was a weak move?
No, I think what Gillum did is kind of what like all older, like respectable, quote unquote, Black people do, which is like try to remain humble and show that you have some sort of like,
right.
I don't know, like graciousness or whatever. Like you got to be a gracious loser, I guess. So it's like, I'm not, all right, well, you know, like I lost. So like, but you know, like this is obvious. I mean, Gillum is like 37, I think. Like he's really young. So obviously this is not going to be the last time that anybody sees him. So I think the idea was for him to kind of go out and concede as a way to like show people that like he's a gracious loser and he's humble and, you know, he's still willing to continue to work and fight and stuff like that. But I don't like that shit because I don't know why if they didn't call a race and just don't say nothing until you figure out what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Like Stacey Abrams is like, bitch, we're not calling nothing.
Right. She's chilling.
They count these votes, nigga. There were 700. I don't know. Again, I just popped in, so I don't know what y'all already talked about. But they had like 700 missing voting machines or some shit like that.
We were like just not talking about how half of them were broke in Atlanta. Like,
right. Like, and then they was talking about like the fucking machines, like they didn't plug them in so the battery ran out or some shit. I'm like, I don't like.
Right. Why is this shit so janky?
It's not janky. Like when people talk about like voter suppression and stuff like that or whatever, like the shit's not janky. It's like these people are actively trying to like stop people from voting, and it's like that's my problem with like the whole vote or die campaign and people talking about black people not voting and shit like that or whatever. It's like, oh, your vote is the most important vote, and it's like, yeah, nigga, I get that, but like they're also like actively discouraging people from voting by like doing simple shit like locking voting machines in a school closet that other people can't find. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just fucking ridiculous.
So, Ted Metz, you know what that is?
You said who?
Ted Metz, M-E-T-Z.
No.
He's the libertarian that ran in the race for governor against Stacey Abrams and Brian Kemp. He got almost 40,000 votes. Like, who the fuck is out here like fucking up this race? Because like them 40,000 votes either way could make a difference. I understand, you know, you don't want to.
Third party voting is weird here because you're right. It's like you want to have a hope for something maybe totally different, but it's like, bro, you don't got enough people.
You're throwing your fucking vote away. Stop it.
Well, I mean, the other thing about that too is like you always tell people to vote, but then it's like you also want them to vote along like a certain way or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So when they don't do what you ask them to do, like it is kind of trashing them, but like it's also kind of like counterintuitive to tell people to vote and that their vote matters and their vote counts. And then also telling them that your vote no longer matters because you didn't vote for who the fuck you needed to vote for. Talking about Florida for a second, it was actually interesting. They passed this Amendment 4 in Florida, and Amendment 4 in Florida says that felons, as long as you're not like, I think it's like murder and like child molestation or some shit like that. As long as you're not either one of those two, if you're a felon, you now have the ability to vote again in the state of Florida.
Yeah, that was good.
Right, and they said that I think the count is like 1.5 million, like extra votes out there or whatever, and they're talking about how that could be like a big shift for, 2020. And I saw people asking like, well, how can people vote for? Because that was like a Gillum-led thing, if I'm not mistaken. Like because Ron DeSantis was against it. That's the only thing that I know that Ron DeSantis was against. I don't even know that nigga's platform because I think he really ran on a platform that says I'm not Andrew Gillum. Like I really think that that's what his platform is. Because I've been covering the election at work for months, right? Like I know what Gillum's platform is. I have no idea what Ron DeSantis' platform is. And like Ron DeSantis, he lost. He's from here. He's from this county or whatever. He lost in his home county. Like that shit is crazy. This nigga lost, and that county voted for Trump in the 2016 election, and he lost the county.
Wow.
People are racist, right?
Yeah.
All right, so in Nevada, right? In Nevada, Dennis Hoff is he's a brothel owner who ran for like a legislative district. Like he backs Trump. He's supremely conservative. He died 2 weeks ago.
Oh shit!
Oh, that's who won in Vegas, right?
Won in a landslide. He's the man.
He's dead.
People still vote in Vegas. Yes, like people still vote for him. Like he died. He died.
Niggas don't need to vote, dog. Stop. Let's just stop voting. Let's just stop acting like this means anything.
Yeah. So, like,
well, I mean, I don't think it. I mean, like,
good God.
Like, I feel like the Democrats flipped the House, which I don't really know, like, I know what that means, like, in theory, but, like, I don't know what that means in, like, practice, like, if they're actually going to, like, use that shit to their advantage. But, like, they were talking about, like, in Harris County, which is in Texas, like, they got, like, 8 black women judges or something like that or whatever.
One of the Republican judges who lost his seat in Texas, because he knows he's on the way out, right? This morning, Harris County, he asked everyone in his courtroom on his docket he asked them do they promise not to kill anyone? And if they say yes, he let them go. Kill anyone else.
What?
He's like, fuck it, I don't care anymore, because he lost, and he let everyone go in his courtroom. They came across his docket.
Meanwhile, people like Gillum want to concede gracefully. And meanwhile, nobody else does that shit. Like, let's stop doing that bullshit, dog. Nobody cares about your respectability.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
God,
well, yeah, I just wanted, but again, I just wanted to come in and say hi. I got to go to therapy in like 20 minutes. So
enjoy. You look like you're in good spirits today. You look good. Hairline fresh. Glowing.
I definitely showed up. So just so you can see my haircut. So I disappointed
you. You got good light today.
Yeah, I got the good light today. I want you to see it.
Thank you for blessing the podcast. Bye, G.
No problem. Love y'all.
Take it easy.
Love you too. Bye. All right. So what I did want to mention too, though, with elections is what's it? How you say his name? Beto, right? Beto.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Beto. We had a lot of star power behind Beto. A lot of people said his charisma, whatever, kind of reminds him of Obama. Similar to Stacey Abrams, she had a lot of star power behind her too. But with Beto, we saw LeBron rocking the hat. We saw Beyonce rock the hat on the 6th. And what I ended up seeing, and so he lost, but what I ended up seeing is that people, for some reason, turn the argument around to say, dang, Beyonce couldn't have posted that a few hours earlier, or, these people couldn't have said something earlier or pushed or whatever. Bro, I saw the Beehive went wild. A lot of people went wild because, A, that's not her responsibility, but how do you feel about that? Like, if you're going to go in, like, you should have just went all the way in.
I think with people as polarizing as LeBron and Beyonce, and they are polarizing, we don't think of them as polarizing because, in our community and everyone that we know, we all love them.
Mm-hmm.
But across like America, people hate Beyonce and they hate LeBron James because they're young,
outspoken Negroes,
Black people. And if I'm Beto, right, I take if Beyonce even says my name, I take it, because that, like, I wish you could like quantify like the amount of votes like she pushed his way. I guarantee it was significant.
But here's the thing, even if it wasn't, or here's the thing, how much more significant would it have been earlier? And is that a factor? Should that be a factor?
It doesn't matter, because like she's damn she do, damn she don't. Because I remember when Beyonce and Jay-Z, like, when they were quiet and stayed out of politics and just put their money behind, their causes, people had a problem with that. And now that they're outspoken, people have a problem with that too. So people are going to.
And again, people are upset at her for not doing more and not being their mule instead of all the white people who voted for the other person.
And people were upset. What have you done?
Right. And they said she did during the On the Run tour. They had booths signing people up like to get registered to vote and like all these different things. So I don't know. I just think we need to stop blaming people who do something for not doing enough. I think that's just pretty ridiculous. But we'll see in the next few days like what happens with politics as that keeps going. In the same vein, we also had a disagreement, if that's what you want to call it, between Trump and Acosta that was shown. Was it considered a press conference or what?
So Jeff Acosta is the, I guess, the head reporter at the White House for CNN. And, during the midterm elections, he, was very critical of the Trump administration. And he had CNN is describing it as a combative exchange with Trump at his post midterms press conference. So, yesterday he tried to access the White House, and I guess his press pass was suspended until further notice. That raises a lot of questions because, like, now people are wondering, are the other reporters gonna, I guess, boycott the White House in solidarity with Acosta?
Why would you boycott the White House now? Like, there's been 2 zillion reasons to if you wanted to.
I mean, it's their job, though. I mean,
so specifically, you saying like them going kind of on a strike?
Yeah.
Okay. Trump's funny as shit, yeah.
Then that brings in question. That brings in questions of First Amendment rights and freedom of press. Like you barring somebody because they have a difference of opinion. I mean, I understand the amendment is for like, okay, you wrote this about me and I'm going to throw you in jail, but I think it still extends into like access to the White House. Like it wasn't like he did anything wrong. He's had a difference of opinion, I think, with Donald Trump. And Trump is one of those people who he likes to surround himself with yes men. And I guess we're going to talk about that in the next topic, but yeah, like I think he went too far.
And then what about the White House aide who tried to take the mic? Like I saw some people saying getting on her, and then I saw some people getting on Acosta for like not just giving her the mic. Yeah, so like I don't even know why that was the issue. It's like, bro, first of all, don't try to take some shit out of my hands. Like
yeah.
And then when you couldn't get it, you had to sit the hell down. Like I don't think it was wrong on either side necessarily, but she should have just, I don't know. How do you try to take the mic from somebody? That's weird.
People are saying, well, the White House people are saying that well, Trump boosters also are saying that that he actually put his hands on her, and like they're saying he person slandered. I'm like, what? Like,
yeah, except everybody saw the videos. So I don't understand.
What are you watching? But we know people who support Trump. They're like, they're not in their right mind.
Weird. So. Yeah, it's so weird. But I mean, I think Trump's a comedian at this point. Like everything's just honestly kind of funny to me. Like this nigga really looked at dude and was like, yeah, I'm not a fan of you either. Like he doesn't care, and it just looks bad. Like it's embarrassing as hell, and I can't believe he's still here. Like that really blows me. But whatever, we'll see if they actually do a little strike or whatever. I don't think they will.
I mean, today is Thursday. I don't know.
Interesting if like nobody should, but I mean you can't because there's like Fox News. Like some people are gonna always be there, right?
Yeah,
that's probably what he would want anyway. Is if just they showed up.
Oh, for sure.
So I don't know how that's gonna play out. But also, your boy got fired. Jeff Sessions introduced that topic for me.
All right, so Jeff Sessions, Attorney General, he resigned, from air quotes. But he resigned. He wrote a letter. He said, at your request, I'm submitting my resignation," meaning they asked him to resign, and he got fired. When Trump first got elected, Sessions, who you don't know Sessions, he's the guy who looks like the Keebler elf.
Just like that shit.
He was appointed Attorney General, and I guess in the last couple months, him and Trump have had a strange relationship because he recused himself from the Mueller investigation into Russia and his campaign during the presidential campaign. I guess Trump didn't like the fact that he recused himself because he wanted Sessions to I guess fight the battle for him, even though it was a conflict of interest, and the House and Senate Democrats basically called for him to recuse himself, and he did, which is what he should have done. And Matthew Whitaker is now the acting Attorney General, and of course, as soon as he named him the acting Attorney General, again the House Democrats and Senate Democrats also called for him to recuse himself, like Sessions did. But he probably won't, because Whitaker has already been super critical of how Mueller has been handling the investigation. So Trump basically put somebody in place that's gonna do exactly what he says, and probably.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, and probably like try to hamper the investigation any way that he can.
Mm.
So,
all right, so the usual. It's so funny that these people really like stick so close to him, and each and every one of them has gotten pushed away.
Yeah.
So I don't understand what the appeal is there. I guess the hunger for power, just being short-sighted. Because I don't know, man. I think at the end of the day, anybody associated with this dude is just not going anywhere. Hopefully. Do you watch House of Cards?
I haven't started this season. Okay. I know Kevin Spacey's not on it anymore. I'm interested to see, like, I forgot his wife's name on the show.
Claire.
Yeah, Claire. I know she's running for president now, but I'm gonna finish watching Daredevil before I start.
No, she was the president at the end of that, because at the end of the last season she had got sworn in as president. But not to give any of the show away, but this just kind of made me think about something as I started watching. I'm like maybe four or five episodes in, but I'm really realizing like this whole country is run by like 3 white people. Like, it's wild. It's like a few white people that's like running this whole shit, I think. And that's turned into conspiracy days. Shout out Negro Android, who doesn't have that Twitter name anymore, by the way. But yeah, I watching that shit, I'm like, I feel like it's not even as wild as what's really happening really in America, but it's really interesting, like just seeing what that power ladder is, and like people really just do anything to try to be a part of that. And I think that's sad. But another thing that's sad too, last night, I think I rolled over around like one something. I'm trying to do this new thing where I like nap every few hours and do work every few hours. Like even I tried it through the night too. But I rolled over, and on Twitter, you know, I saw all this talk about a mass shooting had just happened. And then I saw that it was in my areas in Sherman Oaks, out here in California, or Thousand Oaks, rather, not Sherman Oaks, Thousand Oaks. And then this morning, looking to see that they said 12 people had died, and that a guy, actually, I don't know if I read guy, but it's always a guy, walked into this bar, /club.
Former Marine.
Oh, of course, it's a former Marine. Walked in, threw smoke bombs, and then just started shooting. And they said it was like a college night, so there was a lot of younger people, or like 18 and up crowd, not just 21 and up. I saw something about some older guy, like a dad getting interviewed, and I'm not sure why it was a dad in the club necessarily, or what was happening there. But it's just a really sad situation. I think the 302nd mass shooting, something like that, in 313 days of this year. That's so wild.
Oh yeah, it was you're right. It was a college night, and it was I guess country music night, whatever. So the crazy thing is, I saw that at least a couple of people who survived the shooting last night were also at the country music concert in Vegas, and they survived that shooting as well.
Jeez. Can you imagine how traumatizing that is? I know somebody who was there at that Vegas one. Mm-hmm. She goes to PTSD like therapy once a week. Like she does not go out in public hardly. Like then twice, 300 times in 300 some days in the United States.
And I think we should say his name. The guy who did the shooting.
I don't know what it was anymore.
Ian David Long, and he was a former Cal State.
Did he kill himself or like what happened?
I don't know what happened to him.
I can't tell if it was saying they got him or they just know who it is.
I have no idea. And he killed a police officer also. He killed Sergeant Ron Helis, and he was like a year away from retirement. He had been on the force for 29 years.
But we don't know if he's dead or alive, the actual shooter.
Yeah, I was trying to find it this morning. No one is saying anything. Senator Dianne Feinstein, she called for stronger federal gun regulations, which I don't know.
It's so bad. Like
we do need it.
It's almost like why are we even having the same argument about it?
I know on a ballot here in Washington, that was one of the measures that I voted for, stronger gun regulations in the state, especially out here. Like in the Pacific Northwest, it's so fucking easy to get a gun. Like,
and then it sucks that the U.S. is profiting off of this more than actually just creating policy, because I see all the new products they create about in schools. Like, if a shooting happens, then there's these special things you put under your doors and around your doors and this and that. And it's like, so we're making more things to sell and creating more industry around this to generate revenue instead of just getting less guns on the street. I think it's just so ridiculous. I literally feel like that's something I consider, like, when I'm out and about. Like, if any little thing rubbed me wrong, the right person rubbed me wrong, like, that's literally a consideration. Like, somebody might be about to shoot something up. Like, I don't think there should be that regular, especially not in these situations with all these children and like young people.
I'm like you. I take it a step further. I profile white men. I think it's like, if you think about mass shootings in this country, especially the ones that, like, when you said 303rd, or
yeah, it's like, I think it was 302nd, maybe they might be out, but it was 300 and something and 313 days.
I want to say a mass shooting is defined as a murder of 4 or more people, right? So, I'm not saying that every mass shooting that happens involves, white men. But these like really, really big mass shootings, when you see like people dying in the dozens, like, as far as I can remember, every time that's happened, it's been a white man. And just in the last couple of years, you've had last night we had the synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah.
We had Charleston, Pulse nightclub, Vegas. These are all white men. So like, when I excuse me, when I see like strange looking white men like walking down the street or in crowded areas looking menacing, like, I automatically think, like, is this guy about to like pull out a gun and just start shooting everyone? And I always like keep an eye on that person. Like, all right, he's walking that way. He looks kind of suspicious.
Did you see what how Don Lemon kind of got that backlash because of what he stated as far as white men being the like most dangerous? I know I butchered that. I don't remember exactly what it was he was saying, but people got all on him for saying that, and yet everybody's like, that's statistically true. Like,
yeah,
it's just a
of course
fact.
Of course they're mad.
Of course, why we have such an issue with stating that.
But the thing is, here's the issue. Here's their issue with it. When let's say during 9/11, right? Anyone who's Muslim or from the Middle East was held responsible for terrorism, like
profile forever.
Yeah, their profile. Whenever a black person does anything in this country, it's what's wrong with y'all? Like, but when white people do something in this country, it's never like it's
never generalized.
Yeah, they want to judge that person on an individual basis. Oh, what was wrong with them? Like, they had a mental. I said people already talking about last night. The dude had mental issues. No, he's a fucking terrorist. Like,
I guess they're the ones, for whatever reason, or we know what reason, but they're the ones who define what the other is. And it's easy if whiteness is what's normalized, everything else is the other, versus them actually looking at their whole selves as a blanket and being like, yeah, we have issues.
Yeah. But, white people don't like to feel guilty, which is why it's worse to call a white person racist than for them to actually be racist, because they don't want that guilt. So when Don Lemon said what he said, it's giving white people guilt. So that's why he got the backlash.
I want to look more into international news to see how they be talking about us, because I'm sure it's embarrassing.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my God. Like, I had a friend of mine who was like, man, it'd be interesting if there was a show or something that talked about like, so you know how in our news all we talk about with Mexico is like basically generalizing them and illegal immigrants, all this stuff. They're like, what if there was some kind of like perspective or show as far as what they're seeing in their country about, but it's literally talking about all the bad things we're doing. Like, yo, they're putting kids in cages. They're doing this. There are animals up there. Like, when you really think about it, like everything we try to put on other groups or on other people trying to blame, like the stuff we're doing is like 20 times worse. And it boggles my mind how much conversation that we can have around that. And again, I know like Twitter isn't a representation of everybody, right? So it feels like, oh, everybody's progressive. Everybody knows what's going on. Everybody, you know, can see what's fake and what's real. But then in the real world, majority of people vote like the other way. Or I've even seen some things like on Twitter in the last few days, like a yearbook of this white girl and her quote, like her senior quote, it was something about, you know, saving the world or women's rights or something. And then she was like voting or like wearing a Make America Great hat in another photo or like whatever, something weird like that, right? Where it's like, yo, this doesn't correlate. And so I don't know what reason there is for some things to click, but then just the whole circle is just not complete. And like at the end of the day, why white people still just vote or go a certain direction, regardless of all these facts in front of them.
They so power is a wonderful thing, right? Like even we have like poor white people. You would think that they would, if I was poor and white, or yeah, if I was poor and white, I would definitely be I would definitely be Democrat. But if you look at like Kentucky, rural Kentucky, or rural Tennessee, or you know, any of these flyover states, whatever, they're all Republican because they feel like if I'm Republican, Republican Party for the most part is for white people or white adjacent people. My whiteness gives me power over, or in their mind, my whiteness gives me power over Black people or over Asian people or over Hispanic people. So if I'm poor and uneducated, what else do I have besides my whiteness? And if this country keeps going the way it's going, then I'm going to lose that power too, and I won't have anything. So I feel like white people in those situations, like they're going to vote against their best interest in with this idea of keeping that power.
It's like they want to maintain status quo.
Yeah.
So if they feel like they live in a climate where it's like, well, at least I'm not one of them, then that's still something to feel good about.
Yeah, even though it's not.
Yeah, it really isn't. It really isn't. Wow. Well, like I said earlier, I guess we'll see what happens with, you know, elections being finalized. Yeah, it's a lot going on as always. But any other thoughts or anything before we close out? Any stories? Looking forward to anything?
I'm hoping. I mean, I'm happy about the house. I hope Abrams and Gillum can pull it out. White people do better.
It's gonna be, oh, somebody cheated, or
yeah,
well, we had a recount, so you really don't know. It's gonna be that conversation.
Yeah,
since it wasn't just like a sweep.
But it's like, it's crazy how like history repeats itself. It's always fucking Florida, yo. It's always.
Somebody needs to do some research about why it's always Florida.
Like I said on Twitter, like my first time voting was the general election of 2000. I was 19, and when Bush stole the election based on Florida, and Al Gore, in my opinion, didn't fight hard enough for a recount or sue or anything in Florida, I was just like, whatever. And then it comes full circle back to Florida. And I don't want to say, I mean, I do want to say this. Despite how bleak despite how bleak it looks, and you know, we're talking about 18% of Black women voted for DeSantis, and all these white people voted for DeSantis, like,
and all these Hispanics that voted for Cruz.
Yeah, like, especially in Florida, it is still way closer than I thought it would be. So, like, Republicans should be put on notice. Especially like Garfield said, next year with convicted felons being able to vote now, which I think is some bullshit anyway. Like, I don't understand why just because you're a convicted felon, if you're even if you're in jail, there's some states allow people in jail to vote. I think Republicans should be put on notice. A lot of people work really hard to, like, you know, campaign and get people out to vote. So that shouldn't be dismissed. Even though I'm still mad at, you know, fucking. I just want to soft it off and kick it into the ocean, yo. But
aggressive today. Go run that off today. You say you're about to go run 20 miles, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Looks like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna run. It's cold outside, but.
Oh man. It's not in LA. Well, shoot, I'm going to the East Coast right now, so.
Yeah, have fun with that.
And I'm gonna be in Chicago. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna chap up.
Give me some Garrett's, please.
Ew. You like that stuff?
Fuck yeah. What?
Why does everybody like that popcorn?
Because it's amazing.
Oh, I don't get it. Whatever. I'll get you some. I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. As always, share the love, share the episode, screenshot it, send us $5 because our hosting is $20 every month and we ain't hardly got it. And leave us 5 stars and leave us a written review too. We need to go back to read some of those things.
Yeah, we do.
Let's
do that next episode.
Huh?
Let's do that next episode.
Yeah, we'll do that. And also, if anybody has any ideas for topics or anything that they want to hear about, let us know too. You can email us at nwapcast@gmail.com, and we are NWAPcast on social media across the board.
And we talked
With that being said, what was that?
I'll say we also talked about possibly having a guest on too. A contest.
True. Well, I think some of our listeners have expressed wanting to be guests too. So hit us up about that again too.
Yeah, of our listeners.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Let us know if there's something you want to talk about specifically. Shoot, we could dial you in, especially on days like this where one of us has a lot going on and stuff like that too. So this might work well. So hit us up about any of those things. Thanks for listening to NWAP Season 5, Episode 11. Peace.